Welcome back. In this third tutorial, we will continue from where we left off. Just to recap, as you noticed, we typed in a formula. Excel by default uses relative referencing. As you can see, when I move from G4 to G5, part of the relative referencing works well. C4 has changed to C5, D4 has changed to D5, and that is what we want. However, C12 has changed to C13, and D12 has changed to D13, and you can see this in the formula bar here, right? And we don't want that. So how do we fix it? And as I mentioned in the previous tutorial, we don't want to enter the numbers directly here. It would be right, but we don't want to do it because it's not good practice. Okay, because in a typical Excel situation, there'll be a large worksheet and we may have to make changes to the weight, and you want to make changes in one place. This way, regardless of how many ever rows we have, we make the change in one place and the change is automatically reflected because we used cell address rather than the actual number. Okay, so the way to do this, I'm going to give you one way of doing this, is to go down to the formula bar. This is the formula bar right here, right? For this cell, G4, go to the formula bar, and for the cell that you don't want to change, in this case it would be C12 and D12, you simply need to type in a $sign in front of C and a $sign in front of 12. Okay, but this is basically telling Excel that don't move the cell either downward direction or to the rightward direction, or in the horizontal direction. Okay, so that's $C, $12, and similarly we don't want the D12 to change, so that's $D, $12. Okay, so this is basically fixed referencing for this cell. Okay, so we are telling Excel don't change the cell. So let's see what happens. Press enter. The number didn't change, right? And then you drag and drop. Bingo. So you have the values, and as you go down the formula cell, as you go down the cells here, you notice that C4 has changed to C5. However, C12 has not changed. Same thing goes for this particular calculation as well. Okay, by typing in $signs, we are telling Excel don't change anything. Okay, and note that we typed in dollar values for both rows and the columns. Okay, so I hope this makes sense, and this is basically how we would use fixed referencing, by using the dollar signs in front of the cell addresses. Okay, so let's try to change the weight here back to 25%, okay, and 75%. As you can see here, the numbers change automatically, right, for every single row, and they change in the way you want them to change. Okay, and this is important. This is the good part about typing in the values once. These are the constant, the weights. You put them in one place, you know where they are, and if you want to change them in the future, you change them in one place, and bingo, regardless of how many ever rows you have, they all change for you on one fell swoop. Okay, again, this minimizes work for you. It's also good good practice when it comes to Excel spreadsheets. All right, okay, now let's try to do one more thing. So let's try to compute the average for each exam. Okay, so I'm going to type in average here. Okay, and I'm going to compute the average. I hope you remember how to work out the formula here. So you go to the formula bar, right? So you look for either recently used or insert function. So I'm going to try insert function, and you pick average, press OK. And in this case, you note that Excel actually suggests C4 to C10, C4 to C10 as a range. As it happens, is exactly what we want, and you also see the actual numbers here, okay, equal to average of these numbers. That's what it means. So you say yes. Okay, so now you have the average for midterm 1, and if you want to compute the average for final exam, of course you can compute it one more time using the formula, or you can simply use autofill, right? So you drag and drop, and you see the average here, and note here C4, right, changed to D4, and C10 changed to D10. So basically it computed the averages for numbers between D4 and D10, and this is the way relative referencing worked in this case. Okay. All right. Now let's move to the second worksheet that I already prepared for you. Okay. So I'm going to try to give you a slightly more difficult problem here. Okay. If you don't already have this, what I want you to do is kind of replicate this structure on your worksheet. So in cell A1 I have expense per day per person. Cell B1 I have $100. Cell C4 I have days. And here on D4 I have 1 and 2, 3 and 4 down here. E3, 1, 2 and 3. So this represents the number of people. This represents the number of days. And what I want to calculate is, for some made up situation, I'm calculating how much it costs in expenses per day per person, depending on how many days and how many people are there in a situation. Let's say that I'm hiring some people and each person costs me, $100 per day. Okay, so if the job lasts for 4 days and I use 3 people, how much would this cost? So I want to calculate this. It's like a scenario planning. Okay, and you would need this for your assignment. So this again uses relative addressing. Okay. So if I want to calculate how much I spent if I used one person for 1 day, obviously the answer would be, let me just type in the equal to sign, and it will be the product of these 3 numbers, 100, 1 multiplied by 1. So what I'm going to do is choose B1 multiplied by D4 multiplied by E3. Okay, press enter, and this is a sum for me. Okay, so obviously if I come down here, this cell, it would be 100 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1, and in this situation it would be 100 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3. Okay, so that's what I want, and I don't want to have to type the formula in every single cell. I want to be able to compute it by just dragging and dropping. But somehow I'm not really getting the right values, and you probably guessed it already. That's because of the referencing not working right. In this cell, for example, you can see that it's B2. B2 is right here, and again you don't want that. You can also see that it's D5. So D5 is right here, which is actually right, and then E4, and E4 is right here, and again you don't want to multiply it by 100, you want to multiply it by 1, which is E3. Okay, so it's not working for at least 2 out of the 3 cells. So again, what we need here obviously is some way to fix the cells, right? And that's what we're going to do now. So let's go here. If we don't want B1 to change, and in this case we know that we don't want B1 to change either in horizontal direction or in the vertical direction, so we want to fix both B and 1. So I'm going to type in $B, $1. Okay, so that fixes B2, and when it comes to, that fixes B1, it does not move at all. And when it comes to the days, let me escape again. I note that I made a mistake, so you want to be very careful when you have the when you're in the formula bar. So I'm going to delete this. Right, so when it comes to D4, right, what I want is, I am okay with the D4 moving down 1 step, right? So D4 can become D5, which is fine. D5 can become D6, and so on, right? But I don't want D to become E, right? That you understand that. So I don't want D to become E, but I'm okay with D4 becoming D5, which means I don't want D to change, but I'm okay with 4 changing. So Excel again is nice about it. We can fix only one component if we want. So let's fix the D. So when I put the $sign in front of D, and I'm not going to put a $sign in front of 4, that basically means we're telling Excel, please don't change D. D cannot become E for sure, or F. But 4 can change to 5, 5 can change to 6, and so on. Okay. Similarly, when we come to E3, we understand that E3 should become F3 in this situation, right? And F can become G, but E3 should never become E4. Right, because we don't want to be multiplying by this, we want to multiply by the number of people. Okay, so which basically means I want E to change, but I don't want 3 to change. So you put a $sign in front of the thing that you don't want to change. In this case, is the row 3. So I don't want the row to go down, right? So I fix that. So this is what I did. I fixed this in both directions because I don't want B to become C. I don't want to become row 1 to become 2. And I fixed one each of D4 and similarly one of E3. Depending on which I want to change, I let it free. Okay, if you don't want something to change, put a $sign in front of it. So you have the new formula. So if you actually did this right, and I'm going to check this for your assignment as well, what you really need to do is I'm going to delete all this. Okay, select this value, right click, clear contents, should be somewhere here, and I'm going to do the same thing, clear contents, right? Oh, I just want to clear contents here, right? So if you did this right, the formula I believe is right. If you did this right, if you drag and drop, if you use autofill, that is like this, right? I'm going to undo this because I went too far out. So if you drag and drop and then continue dragging and dropping this way, so I should get the right values. For example, it's 4 multiplied by 3 is 12, multiplied by 100, 1200. This is the right value. And again, if you notice the formula $B, $1, $D7, right? D7, and this one is G3. So you notice that the formula is correct. So if you did it right, you type it in once and you use autofill everywhere else. And this is what I'm looking for. Okay, this is using both relative and absolute cell referencing in one formula. All right. So just remember this is very important. This is a very basic component for Excel. And if you're not clear, I'm going to switch from referencing worksheet to formula worksheet, where you can actually see the formula, the actual formula you need to compute. So you can pause the video here and take a look at the actual formula if you were to type this in everywhere, right? But instead of typing this in everywhere, again, I want to emphasize, I'm going to go back to referencing now. So I want you to type the formula once using the $signs, and then I want you to use autofill, and it should work. This is what I want. Okay, so that brings to an end our tutorials on Microsoft Excel. If I have time, I might post a few more videos that shows you other nifty features. But for the assignment, these 3 tutorials are all what you need. Okay, so good luck, and I'll see you soon. Bye.